All right, let's talk about something we all do, probably every single day, searching for stuff online. We're going to pull back the curtain on our own digital habits and finally get a handle on the journey we take. So, let's dive right in.
You know how it goes. It always starts out so simple, right? You've got one little question, you pop it into the search bar, and you think, okay, this will just take a second.
And then, boom, you look up and an hour's gone by. You started out looking for a lasagna recipe, and now somehow you're an expert on the migratory patterns of Arctic terns. Sound familiar? Yep, we've all fallen down that classic information rabbit hole.
That feeling of just getting lost, clicking from one link to the next, it feels so random, so chaotic. But what if I told you it isn't? What if there's actually a predictable pattern hiding in all that chaos?
That's right. Turns out some very smart people have actually studied this whole thing. And what they found is that our seemingly random searches actually follow a pretty clear structured pattern. It's not chaos at all, it's just complex.
And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the map that lays out this whole process. Think of it like a framework that helps us finally understand our own search habits, turning that confusing rabbit hole into a path we can actually follow.
And here it is. This map is called Ellis's model of information-seeking behavior. And it's brilliant, really. It breaks down our entire search process into a bunch of common, identifiable stages. This is the key to figuring out how we find, filter, and eventually use information.
So the model basically splits our searching into two main types of activities. Let's start with the first one, the microanalysis. You can just think of this as the core search path. These are the straightforward, kind of linear steps you take on your journey.
What I love about this is how it just lays out the journey so clearly. It's a direct path, right? From starting all the way to ending. Let's say you're planning a trip. It's the same idea. You have to start somewhere, follow some leads, pull out the important info, double check it, and then, lock in the plan. This is that process, but for information.
Okay, let's break down those first two steps. Starting is pretty obvious. It's deciding you want to go to Italy and maybe asking a friend who's been for some tips. Then you get to chaining. This is when your friend mentions a great travel blog, you go to it, and that blog links out to a specific restaurant review, and you click it. You're following the chain of information.
Then comes extracting. From that restaurant review, you're pulling out the key details you need, the address, the hours, the must-try dish. You're just grabbing the relevant stuff. After that, verifying. You might pop over to another site just to make sure those opening hours are still right. And finally, ending. This is that last little search, like best gelato near that restaurant, just to tie it all together and feel like, okay, the plan is solid.
Okay, so that was the core path. But that's only half the story. The second part of this map is what's called the macroanalysis. Now, these aren't steps in a neat little line. These are the habits, the things we're constantly doing throughout the entire search.
And there are three of them: browsing, differentiating, and monitoring. These things are happening in the background, sometimes all at once, while we're moving along that core path we just talked about. Let's dig into what each one really means. Let's go back to our trip planning analogy. Browsing is when you're just kind of poking around on different travel websites, not really looking for anything specific yet. Differentiating? That's when you're comparing two different tour packages and trying to figure out which one is higher quality or a better deal. And monitoring is exactly what it sounds like. It's like setting a price alert for your flight and checking back regularly to see if anything's changed. So, you've got the core path on one hand, and you've got these constant habits on the other. The real genius of this model is seeing how these two things work together. It's not an either-or situation. And this is the key takeaway, really. Your search isn't some rigid step-by-step checklist. It's more like a dynamic dance between these two types of behaviors. You might be chaining, following a link, while you're also differentiating, judging the quality of that link. See how they work together?
This slide just nails the difference. The core path behaviors, those are called search procedures. They're the direct route. But the habits, those are called filtering and action processes. That's all the stuff you're doing constantly along the way, all the little adjustments and judgments you're making.
And this isn't a new idea. Way back in 1999, a researcher named T.D. Wilson put it perfectly. He said Ellis's model sits between the microanalysis of search behavior and a more macroanalysis of behavior. It's the perfect bridge, connecting our tiny, specific actions to our much broader search habits.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, it means that your search isn't random or chaotic at all, it's just complex.
You are a super sophisticated information seeker, constantly, probably without even thinking about it, dancing between that core path and your searching habits. And knowing this is actually pretty empowering. It means you can be way more intentional about how you search.
By understanding this model, you basically have a map to your own mind. You can start to recognize when you're chaining, or when you're just browsing, or when you're verifying something. So the next time you find yourself deep down some rabbit hole, you'll know exactly how you got there. And with that knowledge, the only question is, where do you choose to go next?